A certain mustachioed YouTuber recently made a Minecraft door, so I decided to take inspiration and make a Minecraft trapdoor. So as you can see, we have a 16 by 16 block replica of a dark oak trapdoor, and we're going to do exactly what Mumbo Jumbo did and make a trapdoor of it the same way that he made a door. I just realized I forgot to introduce myself. I'm the Generic Redstone Genius, and let's get started. So I'm just going to use some commands to clear myself out a knife area. Perfect. I also give myself night vision so I can see better. So I have a regular trapdoor aligned with our giant trapdoor, and you'll see when you open and close one that these pixels over here, they don't move. So like the last layer of pixels essentially stay in place because that's what it's rotating off of. So I think on the giant one we're gonna have this like row of pixels or blocks in this case stay in place and not move at all. Then we're gonna have this one go down 1 block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks, 4 blocks, and so on and so forth. So I got some of the obsidian in place. This is just as a marker. I'm not sure if it's actually going to be placed in this exact spot yet. This is just to know what I'm working with. And then we have a 2 block gap, and the reason why is because we're going to have all like slime blocks along here. So just imagine this same slime block, it'll get pulled down to here, and these blocks will be pulled down to there, and then so on and so forth. So that's why we have the 2 block gaps. So vertical flying machines are a bit different than horizontal ones. And it's a bit of a pain, especially when it comes to pushing and pulling other blocks with it, so I'm going to try and figure that out. So I went ahead and got all the slime and honey blocks in, and the way it's going to work is that the flying machine is going to pull this down, and then this one will get caught here, this one will get caught there, and it'll open up like the trapdoor, at least halfway up in like a trapdoor. So the problem with the flying machines though is that these observers here in this step, if it's getting pushed up and pulled down by a flying machine, this will work. But then the problem is that these observers are on the same level of the sticky pistons. So that means that those observers will get stuck to these slime and honey blocks there, which will cause all sorts of problems and then won't work. So then the obvious solution is doing something like this, where these observers, when it gets pushed up or pulled down, will power the slime block, which will power the sticky piston. And that works because the slime is a solid block. However, when you want to expand it due to it hitting the piston push limit and you want to make another one next to it, it has to be made out of honey, so it doesn't stick together. But then honey is not a transparent block, or sorry, it is a transparent block, it's not a solid block. So when you power the observer, or when the observer gets updated due to it being pushed or pulled, it's not going to power the sticky piston. So I don't actually know how to solve that right now. Off the top of my head, I guess, I don't think this works. No, it doesn't. So instead of solving that problem, I just decided to ignore it and make it work without fixing it. So obviously the reason I had to use honey is because they were next to each other, and if I used slime and continued on, it would just act as one entity being pushed by that piston, and it would hit the piston push limit, so you need the honey and slime to separate it. However, if you do this, and then you can stagger it. So what I did is essentially staggered it. So this took me many hours to come up with and implement, but I've come up with this. So you see that now we don't have to worry about using honey because they're not actually touching. The corners are, but it needs to be an edge touching. So corners touching doesn't matter. So now you can see that when we update this observer, it pushes all the way up, and it's not going to go any higher because we still have this row of blocks in place, which will make it hit the piston push limit. But then when we break it down, now this is another problem I'm going to have to work out with. I'm going to have how I'm going to update this observer once it's top, but we'll cross that bridge. Then you'll see it gets pulled down and it's going to gradually get stopped. So now what I need to do is essentially repeat this and also figure out a way to stop it properly at the top without just breaking that. Also, the other problem is that since it's 16 blocks, that means it's going to be up to 1 6 blocks, 1 5 blocks, and then another 5 blocks. Segments, I mean. So yeah, that's 6 blocks there. The next one will also be 5, and the next one will also be 5, because that makes 16. So in this case, just 1 block is able to stop it from going up, because the push limit is 12. So adding the 1 block, because this is 12 blocks, 6 times 2 is 12. So adding the 1 block will make it 13 blocks. But on these ones, it'll only be 10 blocks. That means I'm going to have to figure out a way to add 2 blocks in to stop it. Or but I don't want to be using obsidian or anything unmovable. So let's figure that bit out. So I finally got all 3 of the flying machines in, but we're not finished yet. I did manage to solve the problem of how we're going to stop it at the top, and I did that by switching things around a little bit. So we have the outer 2 flying machines, this one and this one, we're having them push 5-block long segments. So each piston here is pushing, each one of these is pushing a 5-block long segment. So you see here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and since it's too high, that means it's 10 blocks in total. So that means we need 3 blocks to stop it once it reaches the top. So what we did is we have the 1 block here, and the 2 stained glass panes here. So obviously, so when this one's going down, we have to pull this out of the way so to take it down with it. These blocks here, and obviously these ones aren't going to stick to anything because it's not touching any of the slime or honey. So that's the case for this other outer flying machine too. In the middle flying machine here, it's pushing 6 block long segments, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And since it's too high, it's 12 blocks in total, which means we only need 1 block to stop it. So we have 1 glass pane per segment. And if you're wondering why I chose glass panes, it's because they're harder to see. They kind of blend in nicely. So now what I need to solve is how I'm going to get an update to these observers here. So let's go and figure that out now. So it turns out I overthink things. I knew for the 2 outside flying machines that I can use a simple double piston extender to update this observer, like so. The only reason it didn't go down is just because there's obsidian there. But yeah, I'll update the observer and then get out of the way. But for the middle flying machine, I didn't know how I was going to do it because I didn't think I had space. So I ended up redesigning the whole thing, and then I ended up trying to figure out how I'd power it like that. And the only way I figured out was to use another flying machine to power the flying machine. However, I then soon realized that having the flying machine in its original state, I could just do it the same way I was doing on the outside, because it would tuck in under here, and it should be fine all fine now. So I'm just gonna go and polish it all up and wire it all together, and we'll see how it works. So finally, after many hours, it is now finished. So let's take a look at our trapdoor, working perfectly. You can see it is now opening. And then when you'd like to, you can actually use this to climb down. And then you can have whatever you want down here if you would actually build this. And then I just built a little entertainment system down here. You just place your sand here, and I'll bounce back and forth a few times. I just got bored and made this quickly. It's stuck. Okay. And then if you want, you can actually close it from the inside. I wired it both ways. So you can see how it looks from underneath. And then when you want to leave it, you can press it again, and it'll pull it down. But yeah, once I got the flying machines down, it was relatively simple. The only thing you had to do, and once I figured out the parts, was wiring it up here. But yeah, once I did that, all you had to do is just send some wires up and some wires down. Have a button, and I just have these pistons here to push and pull the stoppers out of the way. And then we'll just close it from the top, just so you can see how that looks. Well, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to thank Mumbo Jumbo for making the original door, because that's what inspired me to make this video. But yeah, I've been Generic Redstone Genius. I'll catch you guys in the next video.